Hi everyone, I'm Alani Babani and I serve as the Executive Director for OpenStreetMap Uganda. I'm here to give us a story of how African Digital Access Initiative is developed. So to take you back, it was in the year 2016, the month of November. I'm still a student at SustainableDevelopment University and I'm looking for a project to be able to present as my final year project. So from that, I stumbled onto a project as application of GIS in management of aquifers, and with this I needed to get a GPS unit. Now, checked in with my friend Shamila, who by then was a co-captain. She was the captain of the chess club and chess team for the university, for the ladies. So she introduced me to a group of people under the team Good Mappers, which is a youth mapper chapter at SustainableDevelopment University. So I spent the rest of the year learning how to use different tools to be able to contribute to OpenStreetMap platform. And in the year 2017, I was able to come up with my project and utilizing the tools that I'd learned from this club, I was able to proceed. Now, being a new member and also having a background in Rotary, I introduced to my president, then Daniel, to be able to come up with a project that we can be able to take into the community. And what happened was, like I told him, how about we taught this OSM new knowledge that we are having to a younger generation, so that we are able to have inflow of people who are going to be joining the club when they get to the university level. Now, remember we were having different chapters in different universities, the likes of Makerere, the likes of UCU, and we thought of how can we keep the morale moving. So I introduced the idea, and as the president, he bought it, and we proposed it as a team, under Team Good Mappers. Then we visited a school for scouting, which was Tororo Girls in Tororo, and luckily enough, the administration allowed and accepted our proposal to be able to train their students how to do digital mapping to OpenStreetMap. Now, we did that for like 3 months and we graduated and moved out. So one of the challenges I think we didn't really do well was we did not give the idea or instill the idea to quite a number of people in the club. So within the chapter, we had to think more, it was more ring first, I could say. So we didn't do a good job for it to be able to continue. So as soon as we graduated, the continuation of that program ceased. So in the late 2017, around December, I was able to join humanitarian OpenStreetMap team as a mapping supervisor. And by the time I was contracted, we had a project where we were mapping for service, to cover the gap of service delivery within the refugee settlements. So during that time, I shared the idea with, by then, the project manager, Deo Gracious, and we ended up to come with a way that we could be presented to the country manager. So after some time of the project, towards the end, I think it was 6 months left on the project, I was able to introduce the idea to by then the country manager, Rupert Allen, and he bought the idea, though he couldn't put it into the project because the project was a bit strict and couldn't fit in things that were not planned for earlier. So I think he kept it in mind. He didn't give me the answer right away, but I think he kept it in mind. So coming to the close of the project, where we're doing map share backs. So it's map share back is an activity whereby we take back the maps to the communities and be able to get some views on how they see the maps, how they're going to use them. It's more of a community participatory mapping exercise. So from that, we were able to chip in the project. So he allowed us to be able to chip in that idea, whereby we went to different schools, such as Wandi Progressive Secondary School in Arua. Now it's, I think, in Terego, Satorini Memorial. Then we went to a refugee settlement school. The name kind of skipped my mind. And at this time, we had also gotten an intern she had come from the US, Amna, whereby she also supported us to be able to do these trainings. So we did the pilot of that within the project, whereby we trained a couple of students on how to use OpenStreetMap, how to be able to create data within their school, and probably also be able to understand how to use the smartphone for data collection. The biggest highlight I remember onto this was when Amna, she had to train about mapping using a piece of chalk on a blackboard, whereby she had to draw the map and try to explain what we were meaning by different terms. So we realized that using OSM and integrating it into school, it would also help the students to be able to capture the geography concepts quite quicker. But like I said, it was just brought in more towards the end of the project. And then I think towards the end of 2018, we had a conference in Tanzania. So during the conference in Tanzania, it was I think Phosphor-G stroke Hot Summit. So in Tanzania, then the country manager, Robert Allen, presented the project, and towards the end, he also presented what we did within the schools. And I was mesmerized with how the different people were, so interested into knowing what is OSM in secondary schools, what do you mean by this? And it really triggered me. I was like, wow, this can be continued. But at the time, we didn't have the right resources as well as the right structure to be able to carry out the project. Now, in 2019, as we had done this as a team within HOT, that is me, Gracious, Shabila, and other team members, we thought of how best can we be able to bring this to life, because we had seen its impact, we had seen how the different perceptions from different people, and I think even OpenStreetMap community, that is I think DTZ in Tanzania, tried, I think, to do something similar, I'm not sure. And because of that idea, we saw that it can actually be replicated in different parts of the country or the world, depending on the need. So in 2019, at the break of COVID-19, by then we hadn't gotten lockdowns in Uganda, we had a long session, me and Deo Gracious. So with Deo Gracious, he had an idea because he had done, I think, something similar earlier on in his days of campus, whereby he had made a map showing all the different schools in Uganda and the different perspectives of where the hospitals from the school, the distance from the police station to the school and all that. So he had an idea based from coming from traditional school, Namibia College, whereby they are privileged, they had the computers in school, but the challenge he used to face was they had to run. So if you didn't have that speed to run like maybe Tyson Gay or Usain Bolt, you wouldn't be able to get access to the computers. Now it happens that personally I'd also been through a traditional school, that's College Muiri and Muiri Primary, and from this, for my case, it was a bit similar to that, but also a bit different, because I was one of the few who would always be at the front of the computer. And that was because from back home we had a computer and I knew what to do. So in most cases the children or the kids around me at the time in primary couldn't just get into the computer because they knew I knew what to do, I knew how to type, I knew all these things. So I would always have that access to the computers. Then the same scenario we had within the college time, whereby the computer laboratory was the hardest, mostly guarded place. So to get access just to the computers was a bit hard. You had to be a friend to the computer, head of computer. You had to be a friend to whoever is an attendant, so that you'd be able to have that unlimited access. But still the access was a bit limited. And based on those challenges, we thought of, okay, how can we combine this ideology together with the one of OSM in schools, whereby we bring our expertise of knowing how to do mapping and also putting it together with the access problem, because it's a very big problem in Africa, whereby you find students like, I think I had a friend actually who joined university on a government sponsorship and they had come to do computer engineering, but who were shocked they couldn't even click a mouse because they just in accessing, using the mouse, they would shiver. It was the first time they're accessing the computer. So with this ideology, we approached a couple of businesses that were selling computers, and they did not welcome our idea because probably they thought our idea was too simple and easily replicated and may not really sustain business-wise. So went into lockdown, and we had written down the proposal and we just had it in paper, but we did not done anything yet. So 2020 we are under lockdown, 2021 the lockdown happens, and at the time I'm still working with the Humanitarian OpenStreetMap team. Then in 2022 I joined OpenStreetMap Uganda as the executive director. So at this time I think I looked at it as an opportunity for me to be able to push most of the ideologies that I already had towards developing the OSM community of Uganda. So we revisited these documents and had another chat with Deo. Now Deo still works with HOT and currently is the chairman for the OpenStreetMap Uganda organization. So working with him, we were like, okay, let's revisit our ideas. Let's see how we bring our ideas to life. And having access to funds also kind of helped us because we had access to funds from different donors, such as Humanitarian OpenStreetMap team and the strategic transitioning program, and then other programs that we had at hand. Whereby, so what we did was we purchased a first set of 40 computers and took them out to 2 regions. Now, at this time, we do not have any school on our ADAI. So what we did was, okay, let's first take these computers to places where we've been able to work before, where we already have relations with the different administrations of the districts. So we took the computers there, divided, so we put 20 in Western Uganda, that's in Kisoro district, and then we put 20 in West Nile. So West Nile for it, I think majorly it was between Arua, Terego, Maracha, Koboko and Madiokolo. So since we had already developed like relations during the time we were working there and the mapping and different projects under Humanitarian OpenStreetMap team, we were able to leverage and be able to get into the school. So we got permissions from the district officials. Then we went to the different schools and introduced the idea, and then some of them accepted, some of them are still thinking about it and all that stuff, just like any other marketing could be. So we took these computers there and we proposed that we want to bring computers to your school, and besides bringing computers to your school, we are going to train you how to use a computer. So we are going to basically give that hand to support the national curriculum. So the national curriculum, because right now ICT is a bit compulsory, and so most of them typically do theory and that is it, but now we're bringing in the aspect of the practicals. So the computers, we bring them to the school, and then the schools are able to access these computers to do their normal curriculum. Now, besides the normal curriculum, we brought in OpenStreetMap. Now, OpenStreetMap involves quite a lot of things, and with this, we integrated them into the curriculum. So, for example, whereby now they're teaching how to use Microsoft Word and all that, we bring in our OpenStreetMap to be able to show them how they can do the typing still. So when you do the mapping, you need to put in a comment, you need to be able to give a feature the name, that is all typing. So they are getting used to the keyboard while doing this, and using the mouse helps them to get that confidence while tracing around the buildings, the rivers, the other features that we are mapping. Now from that, to be able to share your information to the web, now they get to know how to use the internet, because it's also by the way problem whereby yes, I may have access to the internet, but am I using it the right way? So looking at all this and other outcomes that we are still experiencing on what we have seen so far, such as being able to train also the teachers. Some of the teachers that never used a computer, and some of them, when they got their first email, one of the teachers in West Nile, she emailed her children who are out of the country in America, and she sent them an email, and she was so happy that she gave those joyous songs like as if she was at a wedding, because she had sent the first email in her life, and this is a teacher who has been teaching for over 20 years. So looking at some of the fruits that we're already seeing and the impact from the students being able to do their national exams using our computers, and also being able to give this to them and it really makes us happy, makes me happy and the team that are really making sure that this comes to life. So this is the story about how ADAI, that is African Tax Initiative, comes about, and it was more of a combination. In summary, it's a combination of ideas and experiences that we do not want to see keep happening, whereby we can be able to come and solve these problems. So all in all, we call upon you guys out there who can be able to support us on this program. It can be in form of supporting a school to access, because we do need logistics to move these computers. And the model we're using a shared access model, so the computers never sit idle. Today they're in school A, tomorrow they're in school B, the other in school C, so they keep moving around the same region, so we don't move them very far. We try to keep them in a regional basis. So in case you can be able to support us to be able to cover the logistics, you're so very welcome. You can contact us through our social media platforms, as well as our official email, info@mapuganda.org. And then if you're out there and you can donate us a laptop, that would be so good, and it will help us to be able to have enough equipment to cover all the students. So far I think we've covered already so far over 10,000 students. For the 1 year we have been fully operational, and we are hoping to be able to impact more lives of students, to be able to not only just access the computer, but to be able to compete favorably into the world. Thank you.